When a white Rolls-Royce pulled into Caleb Mercer's grease-stained garage on a scorching Thursday afternoon, he assumed someone was lost. Rich people didn't come to this side of San Diego, not unless their GPS had a cruel sense of humor. But then he saw her, a 19-year-old girl locked inside metal braces, her face tight with the kind of pain that didn't ask for help anymore, because help had stopped coming years ago. Her mother, a woman wearing wealth like armor, was desperate. And Caleb, a widowed mechanic with calloused hands and a promise buried deep in his heart, was about to risk everything to give a stranger back her life. The sun beat down on the cracked asphalt of Mercer's auto repair like it had a personal vendetta against anything still standing in this forgotten corner of the city. Caleb stood in the open bay door, a blue shop rag in one hand and a wrench in the other, squinting at the heat waves rising off the pavement. The neighborhood was quiet, the kind of quiet that came when people were too busy surviving to make noise. He'd been working on Mrs. Chin's Civic since dawn, replacing a timing belt that should have been changed 2 years ago. She couldn't afford it then. She could barely afford it now. But Caleb had learned long ago that some bills you just didn't send. The garage itself was a monument to making do. Cracked concrete floors, fluorescent lights that flickered when they felt like it. Walls covered in calendars from parts suppliers dating back to 2015. The waiting area consisted of 3 mismatched chairs, a coffee maker that only worked if you hit it just right, and a collection of outdated magazines his late wife had organized before she got sick. 5 years later, they were still there. Caleb was 38, though some days he felt 60, tall and lean, with dark hair beginning to gray at the temples, and hands permanently stained by a lifetime of fixing things. His daughter, Emma, told him he needed to smile more. Easy for a 14-year-old to say. She hadn't watched someone die slowly. Hadn't made promises to people who couldn't hear them anymore. He was about to head back inside when he heard it. The low, powerful purr of an engine that didn't belong anywhere near this zip code. Caleb straightened, watching as a white Rolls-Royce Phantom glided down the street like a swan in a junkyard. "You've got to be kidding me," he muttered. The car turned into his lot with cautious precision, as if afraid of scratching itself. It stopped near the garage entrance. 2 silhouettes were visible behind tinted windows. Then the back door opened. The first person out was the mother, probably in her mid-40s. She had spent a fortune making sure nobody could tell her age. Cream-colored pantsuit, hair pulled back in a style both severe and elegant. Everything about her screamed power, wealth, control. But it was the second person who stopped Caleb mid-step. The girl, Harper, moved like every inch of motion cost her something. Her legs were encased in elaborate braces, metal and composite materials running from her hips to her ankles, joints clicking quietly with each movement. She gripped a cane in one hand, knuckles white. But it was her face that hit Caleb hardest. Lips pressed tight, eyes trained on the ground, breathing carefully measured. He'd seen that expression before. His brother David had worn it every day for the last 3 years of his life. "Is there someone here who can help us? Our car has overheated," the woman said crisply. "That would be me," Caleb said, stepping forward. "Let me take a look." He popped the hood, and steam hissed out. The smell of hot coolant filled the air. A hose had burst, stressed by the heat. A simple fix, 15 minutes tops. But Caleb's eyes kept drifting past the engine to Harper, leaning against the building in the shade, her body taut with effort. "Coolant hose," he said. "I can have it done in 20 minutes. You're welcome to wait inside where it's cooler." He gestured toward the office. "Thank you," Renee said, her tone polite but clipped. "I'm Renee Vale, and this is my daughter, Harper." Caleb nodded at Harper, who managed a faint, exhausted smile. "Nice to meet you both. Let me get you settled inside, then I'll handle the car." The waiting room wasn't much. Worn chairs, ancient magazines, water cooler with mineral deposits. Renee didn't complain. She helped Harper to the most stable-looking chair, moving with the precision of someone who had done everything herself for years. Harper exhaled a slow, controlled breath once seated. "Can I get you some water?" Caleb asked. "The cooler's old, but the water's cold." "Please," Harper said softly. Caleb handed her a cup. Her fingers trembled slightly. Returning to the car, Caleb worked quickly, but his mind wandered. Harper couldn't be more than 19, and those braces were permanent. His brother David had been paralyzed for 8 years. Caleb knew the signs of chronic pain, compensation patterns, and the toll of living trapped inside a mechanical shell. Harper had all of them. He tightened the last clamp when a sharp intake of breath came from inside the office. Harper was shifting in her chair, face contorted. Renee was immediately at her side, hand on her shoulder. "Everything all right?" Caleb asked. "She's fine. Just needs a moment," Renee said, voice taut. "Mom, I'm okay," Harper whispered, though the strain in her voice betrayed her. Caleb knew he should focus on the car, but he couldn't ignore the suffering. "Mind if I ask what kind of braces those are?" he said casually. "They're custom orthotic devices made by top manufacturers," Renee replied. "I'm sure they are," Caleb said. "But they're hurting her." "They're necessary for her spinal condition," Renee said firmly. "Her doctors." "I'm not questioning her doctors," Caleb interrupted gently. "I spent 8 years helping my brother David with braces, wheelchairs, every aid you can imagine. I learned to spot the difference between necessary support and preventable pain." Harper looked up, hope flickering in her eyes. "What do you mean? Where does it hurt the most when you stand or walk?" Caleb asked. "My hips," Harper said immediately, "and my lower back." "But that's normal," the doctor said. Renee interjected. "Your body is trying to compensate for braces that don't fit your natural alignment," Caleb explained. "See how your left leg sits slightly more extended than your right? Your hips tilt, your spine twists. Every step, every shift, it fights your body." Harper stared at him, disbelief mixing with curiosity. "I've seen 17 specialists. They all said it was just my condition. How long have you worn these braces?" Caleb asked. 3 years, Renee said quietly. "They cost $800,000. Caleb let out a low whistle. "Well, that's unfortunate. The problem isn't your condition. It's that these are working against you, not with you." Renee stood abruptly. "You have no credentials, no medical license, no engineering degree. If you're wrong, I understand the risk," Caleb said. "But what's the risk if we don't try?" Harper stays in pain, watching life happen while trapped in these braces. Harper's voice broke. "I know you've spent millions, Mom, but I can't remember what it feels like to stand without pain. If there's even a chance, I have to take it." Renee closed her eyes. Caleb saw desperation there, a crack in her armor. "All right, but if anything goes wrong, we stop immediately." "Absolutely," Caleb agreed. He finished the car repair while Renee made calls, rescheduling appointments, navigating her world with the efficiency of a seasoned executive. Harper watched him work, her gaze sharp, as if trying to memorize every movement. "Your brother," Harper said quietly. "You said you took care of him for 8 years. What happened?" "Pneumonia. His immune system couldn't handle the meds. He fought for 2 weeks. That was 5 years ago," Caleb said. "But David made me promise that if I ever saw someone suffering like he did, I wouldn't look away." Harper nodded slowly. "Most people pretended well," Caleb said. "Most people hadn't watched someone they loved struggle just to exist." By evening, logistics were arranged. Harper would stay in a wheelchair while Caleb worked on the braces. Renee and Harper would be in a hotel nearby. Caleb would need specs from the manufacturer, which Renee promised to obtain. As they left, Harper looked at him from the car. "Thank you for seeing me, for believing you could help." "Not yet," Caleb said. "Let's see if I can actually pull this off before celebrating." "You will," Harper said with certainty. "I don't know why, but I believe you will." Caleb watched the car disappear, his garage empty except for sketches, notes, and the weight of a promise he'd just made. He thought of David, of all the times he'd wished someone would try something different. "All right, David," he said to the empty air. "I'm going to need your help on this one." At home, Emma was waiting at the kitchen table, eyes sharp. "You're late," she said. "And you've got that look. The look of doing something really smart or really stupid. Not sure which yet. Another project car? Not a car. A person." Emma's eyes widened. Caleb told her about Harper, the braces, the promise. She listened intently, asking sharper questions than most adults would think to ask. "So, I get it," she said finally. "You're taking apart expensive medical equipment, redesigning it based on what you know from Uncle David, and hoping it doesn't make things worse. That about sums it up." Emma's voice softened. "Just be careful, okay? You care too much about others and not enough about yourself." Caleb smiled. "I know, but I have to try." That night, he stayed up until 2 a.m., reading journals, watching videos, sketching designs, dreaming of joints, angles, and a girl who had forgotten what it felt like to move without pain. The next morning, Renee called. Specifications had arrived. Caleb spent hours poring over them. The braces were brilliant, microprocessors adjusting resistance, sensors tracking stress, composite materials stronger than steel. Genius engineering, just lacking humanity. At 2 p.m., he knocked on room 412 at the Bayfront Hotel. Harper was on the couch, wheelchair folded nearby, eyes alert. "Hey," she said. "Just the braces this time. You stay in one piece," Caleb said. For an hour, he examined, measured, and observed her movements. Renee watched like a hawk, asking sharp questions. Harper turned over a knee joint. "This catches sometimes." "What?" Caleb explained. The sensors measured angles that her body couldn't reach. The joint thought she wasn't ready. "Exactly," Harper said, laughing bitterly. "Everyone expects me to do what I can't." Caleb nodded. "We'll adjust the sensors to your natural movement." By evening, plans were laid. Caleb would disassemble, modify, and reassemble the braces over the next 2 weeks. Harper would stay careful in her wheelchair. Patience and precision. The first prototype would be ready soon, and the journey of trial, error, hope, and pain was only beginning. Emma shook her head, staring at the chaos of Caleb's garage. "Dad, you need to sleep. You're going to burn out before you even get Harper walking properly." Caleb looked up from the knee joint he was calibrating, the soft glow of the work lamp catching beads of sweat on his brow. "I can't. Not when I'm this close. I promised David I'd try if I ever saw someone suffer the way he did. And Harper, she's depending on me now." Emma folded her arms, frustration mingling with concern. "I get that, but you're no superhuman. You have to pace yourself. Look at this place. You're treating a garage like a lab. Springs everywhere, sensors scattered. It's a miracle you even remember what goes where." Caleb chuckled tiredly, but his eyes were intense, fixed on the tiny microprocessor embedded in the knee joint. "Every piece has to be perfect. If I misjudge the force or timing even slightly, she could fall. Or worse, the braces could cause more pain. I can't risk that. Not after today." "Yeah, but do you have to sound like a drama movie every time you talk about it?" Emma smirked, but her voice softened. "You're scaring me, Dad." He set down the spring carefully, running a rag along his hands. "Not scaring, preparing. There's a difference. Preparation saves lives, or at least spares a lot of suffering." Emma sighed and grabbed her backpack. "I'm going to finish my homework. Don't stay up all night tinkering. Promise me." Caleb nodded absently, already absorbed in the calibration again. The next morning, Harper and Renee arrived at the garage. Harper's wheelchair rolled smoothly across the cracked concrete, the padded cushions indenting slightly under her weight. Caleb greeted them with a tired smile, but no words. There wasn't time for small talk today. Harper had been waiting, and he could feel it in the way her eyes lit up when she saw the work he'd done on the knees overnight. "Good morning," she said softly. Her voice carried a mixture of hope and caution, like someone who had learned over years to temper excitement with preparation for disappointment. Caleb gestured to the chair he had set up for her, one with adjustable height and stable back support. "Let's get you fitted. Ready?" Harper transferred carefully, muscles tense as always. Caleb moved with deliberate precision, fastening straps, checking alignments, and whispering instructions to her, as if speaking to delicate machinery. Renee hovered, sharp eyes tracking every motion, her professional armor giving way to something more human. Worry, hope, and trust all rolled into one. Once the braces were secure, Caleb stepped back, motioning for Harper to stand. Slowly, deliberately, she eased onto her feet. The modified braces shifted her weight evenly, the pressure redistributed across her hips and thighs. She took one step, then another. "Feels different," Harper said, her voice tight. Relief mixed with a hint of disbelief. Caleb nodded. "Good. That's the hip adjustment working. How's the knee?" She hesitated, testing the left leg. A slight buckle, then realignment. "Better, not perfect." "Exactly what I expected," Caleb said. The sensor thresholds were off. "I made them slightly too responsive. We'll fine-tune it today." They spent the morning moving step by step through recalibration. Caleb adjusted the spring tension, microprocessor feedback, and locking sequences, each iteration bringing Harper closer to stability and pain reduction. By noon, she could walk 10 feet with Caleb supporting lightly at her side. Every inch was measured, every shift and balance analyzed. Renee was quiet for most of it, but at one point she asked, "Do you ever get scared, Mr. Mercer? That something might go wrong?" Caleb paused, thinking, "Every day, every step. But fear doesn't help. Preparation and attention to detail do. And the girl in front of me? She deserves every chance." Harper looked up at him, a faint smile breaking through the exhaustion and fear. "You make it sound simple." "Simple as a lie," Caleb said softly. "But it's possible." By mid-afternoon, progress was tangible. Harper could take a few steps without Caleb's support, each movement smoother than the last. Renee's eyes glistened, and she caught herself holding her breath each time Harper shifted weight. I didn't expect this," she admitted quietly. "I thought this would be mostly hope and therapy, but you've done something real." Caleb didn't answer, focusing on the brace calibration. There was still work to do, and he couldn't let his emotions cloud judgment. He noted every measurement, every adjustment, sketching changes in his notebook. This was his art now, the intersection of mechanics and human resilience. Harper suddenly laughed, a small sound that cracked through the tension like sunlight. "I just realized, I've been walking all wrong for so long. My whole life, I've been fighting myself." "That's exactly why we had to make these changes," Caleb said. "Your body knows what it needs. Now, the braces work with you instead of against you." She tried a longer step, wobbling slightly but regaining balance. I can do it. It's like my legs finally remembered how they're supposed to work." Renee's hand gripped hers. "I can't believe this. I've spent millions on doctors and specialists. You've done what none of them could." Caleb shook his head. "I didn't do it alone. You did the hard part. Harper, you showed up. You endured every day for years. I just applied the right adjustments." Harper blushed faintly, but her eyes sparkled with something Caleb recognized immediately, a dangerous, exhilarating thing called hope. The first evening after the adjustments, Harper used a walker in the hotel suite. Caleb and Renee watched carefully, guiding and observing. Every movement was painstakingly analyzed, but by the time she took 10 steps across the suite without leaning heavily on the walker, her face lit up with triumph. This is amazing," Harper whispered, sitting back in the wheelchair. "I've never gone this far before." "You're only getting started," Caleb said gently, pride threading through his voice. "Tomorrow we work on endurance, balance, fine-tuning. Every day will be better than the last." Renee nodded slowly, the edge of skepticism giving way to a cautious belief. Thank you, Caleb. Truly, I've never seen anyone care for Harper this way. Not like this." Caleb shrugged. "I promised a friend I wouldn't look away from suffering. This is just me keeping that promise." Harper reached for his hand. "I trust you." He held it, feeling a weight lift in both directions, the responsibility and the unspoken bond forming between them. The next days were a cycle of meticulous work and cautious progress. Caleb adjusted tension levels, refined sensor programming, and experimented with padding distribution to reduce friction and pressure points. Harper practiced standing, walking short distances, and balancing without assistance. She was exhausted, but every incremental improvement strengthened her spirit. Renee stayed at the hotel, helping Harper with routines and learning as much as she could about Caleb's modifications. She took notes, asked questions, and gradually became part of the process. The relationship between mechanic, patient, and mother evolved into a quiet triad of trust and cooperation. One evening, after a particularly grueling session, Harper collapsed onto the bed in exhaustion. Caleb and Renee watched her, concerned. "Too tired?" Caleb asked. Harper shook her head, a faint smile on her lips. "No, it's worth it. I can feel it. I can feel my legs starting to understand how to move right. I've never felt this freedom before." Renee brushed a strand of hair from her daughter's face. "You're incredible, Harper. I wish I'd had someone like Caleb helping sooner." Caleb waved off the comment. "You had me now. That's what counts." By the end of week 1, Harper was walking longer distances with minimal support. Caleb's adjustments had worked nearly perfectly. The only remaining issues were minor. Micro-adjustments to knee resistance, further refinements to padding, and testing her endurance without fatigue or discomfort. Harper was thrilled but cautious, aware that too much overexertion could undo progress. One afternoon, as Caleb calibrated a knee joint, Harper leaned against Renee and watched quietly. "Do you think I'll ever run?" she asked softly, almost afraid of the answer. Caleb looked up, his hand still on the joint. "Maybe. Not yet. But one day, yes. You will. The first step isn't running. It's standing without pain. And you've done that." Harper's eyes glistened. "I never thought I'd feel normal again." "Normal isn't the goal," Caleb said. "Freedom is. And you're on your way." Renee reached for Caleb's hand. "I don't know how to thank you. You've given her more than I ever thought possible." Caleb shook his head. "You don't need to thank me. Just watch her live her life. That's enough." Harper practiced a few more steps, Caleb at her side, Renee supporting lightly. With each movement, the years of pain, frustration, and hopelessness seemed to fall away. And for the first time in a long time, Harper believed that her life wasn't defined by braces or limitations, but by what she could do with determination, trust, and the right support. As the sun set over San Diego, casting long shadows across the hotel suite, Caleb leaned back against the counter, exhausted but exhilarated. He had risked everything, challenged the impossible, and for the first time in years, felt like he had truly kept a promise made to a loved one who could no longer speak. Tomorrow, they would continue. The journey wasn't over, but Harper had taken her first real steps toward a life she had almost forgotten existed. And Caleb, he had reminded himself that some promises, no matter how impossible, were worth every ounce of effort. The morning sun filtered through the Bayfront Hotel suite, casting golden streaks across the polished floor. Harper was already awake, eyes bright with anticipation. She had slept better than she had in years. Her legs no longer throbbed with constant pain, and the modified braces had given her a glimpse of freedom she hadn't felt since childhood. Caleb arrived shortly after 7 a.m., carrying his tool bag and a notebook filled with sketches, measurements, and observations from the previous days. Renee had made coffee, but neither of them touched it. The focus in the room was palpable, a mixture of nervousness and excitement. "Morning," Caleb said softly, setting his bag down. "How's the body feeling?" Harper flexed her toes inside the braces. "Better than I thought it could feel. I'm nervous, though. Today we push farther." Caleb nodded. "Exactly. Yesterday was about balance, small distances. Today, we test endurance. We see how long you can walk, how the joints respond over time, and make final adjustments." Renee smiled faintly. "I'll keep track. You two just focus on the work." Caleb helped Harper into the standing position. The braces felt lighter than ever, the joint angles perfectly aligned with her natural gait. He adjusted the straps, checked the sensors, and stepped back. "Ready when you are." Harper took a tentative step forward, then another. Her muscles protested slightly, but the pain was minimal compared to what she had endured for over a decade. The smile that spread across her face was radiant, cautious but full of genuine joy. "I can do this," she whispered. "Yes, you can," Caleb said. "But don't rush. One step at a time." They moved through the suite slowly, each step measured. Caleb observed her posture, the alignment of her hips, the release of the knee joints, and the pressure distribution across the braces. He adjusted minor elements in real time, tightening straps here, loosening padding there, until each movement looked fluid and natural. Harper's confidence grew with every step. After an hour, Caleb decided it was time to test a slightly longer distance. "Let's go out onto the balcony," he suggested. The balcony overlooked the harbor, sunlight glinting off the water. It was the perfect place to test endurance in a controlled environment. Harper maneuvered herself to the edge of the balcony, Caleb supporting lightly at her side. "Okay," she said, voice firm. "I'm ready." With Caleb on one side and Renee on the other, she took her first independent step onto the balcony. It felt strange at first, her body recalibrating, muscles learning to trust the braces. But with each stride, she grew more confident. By the time she reached the far railing, she was moving steadily, no longer dependent on their support. Renee's eyes filled with tears. She's walking," she whispered. "Really walking." Caleb smiled but remained focused. "Not done yet. Keep going, Harper. Feel it. Trust yourself." Harper laughed, the sound light and unburdened. I can do this. I never thought I could do this." Over the next 2 hours, Harper moved back and forth across the balcony, Caleb making fine adjustments to the braces in real time. The microprocessor thresholds were calibrated to perfection, the knee joints releasing precisely when needed, the contact points distributing weight evenly. Each step was smooth, pain-free, and increasingly confident. At one point, Harper stumbled slightly. Caleb's hand shot out instinctively, catching her. "Easy," he said gently. "That was just a minor misalignment. No harm done. Reset and try again." She took a deep breath and moved forward. Each step after that was steadier than the last. Her body, finally freed from years of braces fighting against her natural motion, began to remember what walking was supposed to feel like. Renee watched silently, awe and pride battling with her lingering fear. "I never thought I'd see this," she murmured. Caleb glanced at her. "It's not magic. It's observation, patience, and trusting Harper's instincts. She's doing all the work. I'm just guiding." Harper turned to him mid-stride, beaming. "You're amazing, Caleb. I can't believe you fixed me. You actually fixed me." Caleb shook his head, emotion threatening to break through his professional calm. "You fixed yourself, Harper. I just helped your body understand how to cooperate with the braces instead of fight them." By the afternoon, they decided it was time for the ultimate test, walking the full length of the suite unassisted. Caleb stayed close, but let Harper take the lead, monitoring from a step behind. Harper's movements were smooth, confident, almost graceful. She laughed freely, a sound that filled the room with light. Halfway across, she glanced over her shoulder at Caleb and Renee. "I never thought I'd hear myself laugh while walking." Renee's voice trembled with emotion. "I've waited 11 years for this moment. 11 years. Caleb's eyes softened. "It's happening now, and it's just the beginning." The final few steps were taken with minimal support, Harper's face radiant with triumph. She stopped at the far end of the suite, breathless, smiling, tears of joy glimmering in her eyes. "I did it. I really did it." Renee embraced her daughter tightly. "You've done more than walk. You've reclaimed your life." Caleb stood aside, letting the mother-daughter moment happen. He felt a deep satisfaction, tempered with the reminder that there was still work to be done. Fine-tuning, monitoring, endurance training. All of it mattered, but for this moment, he allowed himself a small smile. Over the next week, Caleb continued to refine the braces. Harper practiced walking longer distances, incorporating turns, stairs, and uneven surfaces. Each day, her confidence and independence grew. Caleb documented every adjustment meticulously, ensuring that the braces could be replicated or repaired if needed. One evening, after a particularly successful session where Harper walked 10 consecutive minutes without support, she collapsed onto the couch in exhaustion. Halfway across, she glanced over her shoulder at Caleb and Renee. "I never thought I'd hear myself laugh while walking." Renee's voice trembled with emotion. "I've waited 11 years for this moment. 11 years. Caleb's eyes softened. "It's happening now, and it's just the beginning." The final few steps were taken with minimal support, Harper's face radiant with triumph. She stopped at the far end of the suite, breathless, smiling, tears of joy glimmering in her eyes. "I did it. I really did it." Renee embraced her daughter tightly. "You've done more than walk. You've reclaimed your life." Caleb stood aside, letting the mother-daughter moment happen. He felt a deep satisfaction, tempered with the reminder that there was still work to be done. Fine-tuning, monitoring, endurance training. All of it mattered, but for this moment, he allowed himself a small smile. Over the next week, Caleb continued to refine the braces. Harper practiced walking longer distances, incorporating turns, stairs, and uneven surfaces. Each day, her confidence and independence grew. Caleb documented every adjustment meticulously, ensuring that the braces could be replicated or repaired if needed. One evening, after a particularly successful session where Harper walked 10 consecutive minutes without support, she collapsed onto the couch in exhaustion. I can't believe this is me," she whispered. "I feel normal." Caleb knelt beside her, adjusting a strap on the knee joint. "Not normal. Better. You're learning to trust your body again. You're stronger than you've been in years." Renee joined them, sitting on the couch's edge. "I can't thank you enough, Caleb. You've given Harper a life I didn't know was possible anymore." Caleb shook his head. "Don't thank me. Watch her live it. That's enough." Harper reached out, grabbing Caleb's hand. "Promise me you'll keep helping people like this, even if it's not me next time." Caleb squeezed her hand gently. "I promise." Some promises aren't about who they're made to. They're about what you do with them. On the final day of their sessions, Harper walked across the hotel suite completely unassisted. Caleb monitored quietly, stepping in only when necessary. She moved with confidence, her steps measured and deliberate, a natural rhythm emerging from years of struggle. I can do it, Harper said breathlessly. I can actually do it. I can walk without fighting myself. You've always been able to, Caleb said softly. You just needed your body and the braces to agree. Now they do. Renee's eyes glistened with tears. You've done more than fix braces, Caleb. You've fixed her world. Caleb smiled humbly. Her world was always hers. I just helped remove the obstacles. Harper laughed, a full, unburdened laugh. I never thought I'd feel this freedom again. Walking, standing, it's amazing. Renee pulled both Caleb and Harper into a tight embrace. We owe you everything, she whispered. Caleb shook his head, touched but firm. You owe no one. Promise kept. That's enough. By evening, Harper could walk independently around the hotel suite, maneuver stairs with assistance, and even practice turns and small endurance exercises. Caleb made final notes on adjustments, ensuring the braces were fully optimized for Harper's unique gait, strength distribution, and posture. Harper sat on the couch, exhausted but triumphant, watching Caleb pack his tools. I feel alive, she said softly. As the sun set over the harbor, casting amber reflections across the suite, Caleb allowed himself a rare, deep breath. This was the kind of victory that mattered. Not accolades, not money, not recognition, just the quiet, powerful satisfaction of seeing someone rise, finally free, after years of being held down. And Harper? She stood tall, a young woman who had endured pain, despair, and countless setbacks, now walking toward a life she had been denied for far too long. Each step was a triumph, each movement a testament to resilience, trust, and the power of a promise kept. Caleb packed his tools, glanced at Harper one last time, and whispered to the empty space where his brother once lay. We did it, David. I kept the promise. And for the first time in years, he felt completely at peace.